What's going on, Colts Nation? I appreciate you joining me for another video where in this one, I want to talk a little bit about a position of need, something that I think we should do. I don't think the Colts should be going into the draft thinking that guys that they draft this year need to make an immediate impact. I don't think that's conducive to winning in the way that they want to be able to win. So if you enjoy the content, make sure you hit the like button. Lets me know how you guys are feeling. Of course, make sure you're subscribed with notifications on so that you get notified anytime there's any content that drops on this channel. Okay, but as we get back into this, right, talking about the right guard spot here for the Colts and what I think we should do, of course, going and getting Glowinski back is always a top tier option, right? Glowinski, somebody that's been here, somebody's familiar with the locker room, and somebody that you put in, and he's not going to come out and be an all pro. He's going to be solid, right? He won't be perfect, but he'll be solid. He knows what we want to do. So Glowinski is always an option, somebody to look at. But in 355 snaps last year, he gave up 3 sacks. But then there was another guy. As I started looking through the list of guys that are available right now in free agency, one of the guys that I noticed was Brandon Scherff, and what's going to happen with him. I'm sure he's looking for both a good situation somewhere where he can make a good amount of money. So looking at Brandon Scherff, somebody who's been a long time, dependable guy in the trenches, started with Washington, spent a lot of time with them, and then, of course, went to Jacksonville. He's been with them for a few years and really been the anchor of that offensive line for them. And this is a guy that fits into exactly what we need, right? I've talked about drafting guys and then possibly getting moved from somebody who's played left guard to being somebody who can play right guard, right? Because just looking at the different ways I was able to draft. Yeah, we talked about it in the mock drafts. We won't get into it, but I just don't think, again, just like I said at the beginning of the video, going into the draft for somebody who's going to be an immediate impact player, especially on the offensive line. We see so many times, even on this team, right? Talk about Bernie. You can even talk about Braden Smith. And you have Tanner Bortolini and Mackin Savez. Like rookies, not only for the Colts, but all over the league. Rookie offensive linemen typically will have some struggles and will have some times where they're getting beaten. They'll have games where they're just completely outmatched, and that's going to happen, right? It's working from that and getting better. That's the objective. And when you talk about Brandon Scherff, throwing him in to a lineup that has Bernie, who continues to get better, and seemingly, assuming he has another good season, he's going to be in line for a big-time contract and having an extension done next season. And then also looking past that, Q you have online, good veteran, and then putting Brandon Scherff there. And then if you have those three, and now you insert Tanner Bortolini into the middle of that, somebody who had experience last year when Ryan Kelly went down, and somebody who had good times, had some bad times, definitely has to learn, definitely has to work with the strength and conditioning to get quicker feet, to get a little bit bigger, right? You don't want to change who he is, but what he provides, I think Tanner Bortolini, we're safe to go away from Ryan Kelly and insert him into our future. I think Tanner Bortolini going to be just fine for us. And having Tanner Bortolini around so many veteran players, right? Braden Smith also at right tackle, so many veteran players, and also being around Shane Steichen, and also being around Tony Sperano Jr., who is, of course, the child of Tony Sperano, one of the most legendary offensive line coaches in NFL history, and Tony Sperano Jr. Quickly becoming one of the best offensive line coaches in the NFL. Everywhere he goes, offensive lines turn great. So that's what I expect from our offensive line. Really, no matter what we do, I think we'll find ways to put Band-Aids on things and still make things happen. Jonathan Taylor is still great. The rest of the guys outside of the right guard, I have a lot of faith in. But again, you bring Brandon Scherff in to the equation, and all of a sudden, one of the best offensive lines in the league for sure. Brandon Scherff, 33 years old, I believe, 34. Whatever the case is, somebody who played 1,013 snaps last year, 625 of which were pass plays. Okay, so 2/3 of that being pass plays, 0 sacks. Now, he did give up a decent amount of pressures. That'll happen with 625 pass snaps, more than a lot of teams for sure. And so overall, giving up 0 sacks. This is again a veteran guy that's crafty. He knows what he's doing, and I think he's a guy that'll be good to bring in and put on the offensive line. He's a guy you put another solid veteran guy in front of Anthony Richardson to try to make sure that Anthony can get as much time as possible. Right, assuming he wins the quarterback job. That's just what we're doing here. Assuming Anthony is going to be the quarterback, and just protecting your quarterback as much as possible, putting more guys, as great a guys as you can find, and putting them in front of Jonathan Taylor and Khalil Herbert for that matter. And overall, like, what would the contract look like? Like, we have like a little bit more than $24 million to spend in free agency, and I think you could honestly probably end up getting Brandon Scherf for 1 year, $7 million. Again, his age, even though he was productive. So that number might be a little higher, right? You might be talking about, 9, 10, 11. But with the cap space that we have, like, what else are we going to do? What other holes are you going to fill in free agency? Right. And you gave yourself some flexibility to make a move. So let's make a move before the draft. Go pick up Brandon Scherf if he's trying to sign somewhere before the draft. This might be a thing where veteran guy has a couple of offers, or maybe just a couple of places that he's looking at. Hey, this might be an option. This might be an option. And waiting for training camp to come around. Maybe sign halfway through training camp, whatever the case may be. A lot of these older veterans trying to miss training camp if they can. But obviously, being in training camp would help with team morale, team chemistry, that sort of thing. So hopefully, again, before the draft, let's sign Brandon Scherf. I think that's a good move. I think that really helps fill out the roster before the draft, and then you can go into the draft knowing, boom, we need a tight end. We got to solve that problem early. We're going to need to solve the problem at linebacker. We're going to need some defensive line depth, both at edge and in the middle. And then after that, beyond that, kind of just pick your poison. What do you want to do, including a safety at some point that has high value for where they're drafting them could be an option. So we'll see what's going to happen. We've put out 3 mock drafts. I feel like we're pretty consistent with the positions that we're looking at, and I think a lot of people are. I've also seen just yesterday I released mock draft 3.0 and had us trading down for Colston Loveland. I ended up going on Twitter and seeing other people on YouTube, a lot of people having situations right now where we trade down and still get Colston Loveland and still draft a tight end because Tyler Warren is going to be drafted before 14. Just the overwhelming thought that Tyler Warren's going to be gone before pick 14. So this is what we're looking at. Of course, I'd like to know what you guys are thinking about that right guard position. How do you think the Colts should handle it? Should they get a veteran guy? Should they draft somebody and hope that he works out? Should they move Braden Smith over? What do you think we should do at right guard? You let me know your thoughts down in the comment section. Of course, make sure if you enjoy the content to hit that like button. Lets me know what you guys are into, and make sure you're subscribed with notifications on so you continue to get notified anytime there's any content dropping on this channel. Of course, appreciate you stopping by for another video. As always, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and go Colts.